Hey guys, and welcome to yet another edition of Ratty Expounds. In case you're new here, my name is Ratik Datta and I recently did my Masters in Marketing from Purdue University, having graduated in the year 2024. Now, I understand that perhaps it might not be fair to call it recent given that it's been over a year now, but I guess time is relative as they say, right? So, I'm currently working in Mumbai as a project associate at ET Edge, which is an initiative of the Times Group as part of the Global Sustainability Alliance. And sustainability is something which, if you've been following my social media channels, is something which is a topic which is very close to my heart. So I take a lot of pride in driving sustainability agenda ahead. So it's been a while since I've been here on YouTube, and I deeply apologize for that. I have been going through some personal things, and there have been a lot of things going on over the past month or so. I finally was able to catch up the rhythm of making videos regularly. Unfortunately, I had to take a break again, but now I do assure you that I will be regular from here on out. A video a week is what I have usually planned out, and I do believe that this time I should be able to keep up the progress and keep up the work. So thank you so much for sticking around and continuing to believe in me and having faith in this channel. It really means a lot. And for all of those who are new here, I make videos on my personal, academic and professional experiences. So if this is something which is of interest to you, please leave me one of these. It helps with the algorithm of the channel. And also, please do not forget to subscribe and turn on bell notifications so that you don't miss out on any future content. So this video, as the title suggests, is a part 2 of something that I made a month back. Just to give you a slight recap of what I made, that video talked about some of the everyday mistakes that I've been culpable of making over the course of my life, and I still do make those mistakes even today. And I thought that making a video on that would actually provide some value for people who might be making mistakes on similar lines as well. Again, like I spoke about in the previous video, this is not a commentary, this is not self-depreciatory in any manner. It's actually, it comes from a place of great security where I can actually talk about my mistakes openly on a public platform. And yeah, here goes. This is part 2 now. So the fourth common everyday mistake that I make, and I have been guilty of making over the course of my life, is to be using terms like today morning, today night, yesterday morning. Now, this is something which I have very commonly used over the course of my English language, and very strictly speaking, it isn't the correct usage of the English language, because instead of saying today morning, the actual correct phrase, the correct term to be using it is this morning, and yesterday evening would be last evening. So last evening, this morning is something that is usually accepted as the correct form of English. Again, just because you may use terms like today morning and yesterday night, it doesn't mean that you're not a good speaker. You could definitely be very loquacious, but at the same time, this is a very commonly made mistake that people make over the course of speaking the English language. So it's a very small adjustment, and honestly, when you start using the word this morning and last evening, things on those lines, you'll realize that your language seems a lot more polished. Not that it wasn't before, but of course there's always scope for improvement, which is what I believe, and I have personally incorporated in my life and have seen a sea of change in the way I feel about the way I'm speaking. So the fifth everyday mistake that I make is to actually be sitting down while shaking hands. Now, shaking hands is a very critical and integral part of your everyday life. Now, it also depends on what the context is. It could be in a business formal setting, it could also be in a casual setting. Irrespective of whether you're doing this where you're shaking hands with someone in a personal, in an informal or a business formal setting, it always makes sense to stand up and shake your hand. Now, again, this is something I have been very guilty of not doing. There have been many instances in my life where I have continued, if I was sitting down, I've continued sitting down while shaking hands, which is a huge red flag in all honesty. Because now, to understand why this is incorrect, is you need to kind of understand what the symbolic meaning of shaking hands means. Shaking hands is often considered to be a symbol of respect and peace. So when you are shaking hands with someone, it's considered to be something which is of mutual respect. So if you keep sitting down while you're shaking a hand, as it does come across as you being supercilious, someone who's very arrogant about their own self, someone who doesn't deem the situation important enough to actually stand up and treat the other person as an equal. Now, of course, your intention may not be to do that, just like it never was my intention, but that's how it kind of comes across. Now, I don't know whether this is a formal rule or if this is a letter by the book, but this is something which is an unsaid rule in terms of shaking hands. And of course, now people may argue that this is more for a formal setting, but I do believe that shaking hands, even if you're shaking hand with a friend, there's a certain mandate that you should be following, because even if you are in an informal setting, respect bears no significance to whether this is a formal or an informal setting. That's what I personally believe. And yeah, you can tell me what you think about shaking hands with your friend or in an informal setting in the comment section below. But in a formal setting, I can assure you that if you're not standing up when you shake someone's hand, it comes across as you being very, very obnoxious, and you should definitely refrain from doing that. So the sixth common everyday mistake that I have been culpable of making is, when I'm introducing someone, instead of introducing them by their name, I have in the past introduced them as the other person's partners. So if I were to introduce a couple of my friends and they happen to be dating or married, so if I were to introduce one of them by name and the other person as X's partner, well, that comes across as it kind of course, now the intention has never been to do this, but what it comes across is that the sense of individuality of the other person is kind of being taken away in a sense. And now spiritually, you may have some other thoughts on the same matter, in the sense that, you know, spiritually they are the same person because they may be different souls, but they're destined to be one. And I truly respect that. But currently, as of now, we are on the earthly abode, and as of the rules of planet Earth, we are still in the physical realm where individuality, two individuals with different bodies, should be respected as such. So again, while it may not have been your intention to do anything on those lines, it just seems more polite and the correct way of introducing someone as themselves, and let the person himself or herself talk about how they are the other person's partner. That's their story to tell and not yours, and that's definitely not how you would want to introduce themselves. They may not even personally mind it, but the point is that even if there's someone who doesn't mind you being introducing them as their partners, again, it's not your story to tell, it's their story to tell. So it's best to leave that bit to them. And again, I have been culpable of doing this. This was pointed out to me by a friend, and I am extremely grateful that this has been pointed out. All of these 6 mistakes, and as a matter of fact, has been something that has been pointed out to me. And now, of course, I could go on the defensive and get perturbed or get offended by someone correcting me. That's one way of going about doing things. So now, yeah, of course, you could do that. You could go ahead and get pretty offended by someone correcting you. The other way is to gracefully accept that you made a mistake and to course correct and to go on a much better path where you are respecting other people's values and you're not coming across as someone who's rude or obnoxious. So that's about it, guys. These are not rocket sciencey things. These are very small changes that you can inculcate in your life, and trust me, even though they're very small changes, they make a huge significance and in how you're perceived. And of course, like Harvey Specter says, first impressions last. And while again, I wish that this weren't the case, the point is that, like I spoke about in my previous video, I wish that that things weren't this way. But that's a very utopian way of thinking about it. As of now, how things stand, people do judge you in probably the first 30 seconds that they meet you. So the way you introduce someone, or the way you speak, or any of these things that I spoke about can make a huge impact on the way you're perceived. So I hope this video has been able to provide some sort of value to you, and I hope that once again, I want to thank you guys for sticking around. This has been an amazing journey. Being on YouTube, working on these YouTube videos is some of the best things that I am personally working on in my life, and that's saying a lot because I've had the good fortune of working on quite a few things that I like, that I love. So I am very grateful for this, and yeah, that's about it. Let me know what kind of videos you would like me to make in the comment section below, and I shall be happy to oblige. Stay connected. You can reach out to me on Instagram, on LinkedIn if you have any questions regarding my time at Purdue or my current role at ET Edge, which is a part of the Times Group, or anything on those lines. I'll be more than happy to help. I have had the good fortune of interacting with a lot of people who I now consider as friends through my YouTube channel, and I think that's inarguably the best part about doing this, about building that community and actually being able to, I wouldn't even call it my network because network sounds a bit transactional. It's about building relationships. That is of paramount importance to me. So thank you very much, and yeah, that's about it. I shall see you very soon. Until next time.